Hey everyone, you're listening to, and I'm going to keep the laughing. Hey everyone, you're listening to the Handy at the Shandy podcast. That's right, the Handy at the Shandy podcast. Thank you. Thumbs up, Jack, on the camera. You can't see that at home. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Adam the Fraud, is what I've been known as. I'm here with Boring Jack. And James, what's your moniker?
Oh, I don't know. Have we come up with a moniker? At one point, I was called Table Games James just because I played table games one time with the Crap Vegas guys, but I don't really do that. So,
okay, well, we're going to keep it. So that sounds good. So this podcast, not an offshoot of mine. This is completely separate. It's independent, its own thing. And what we're going to be doing on this show is, of course, talking about Vegas, trip reports, just kind of general, not Vegas news, but Vegas topics, gambling topics, answering questions, those kinds of things. So just to start off, how many of us have actually had a hand pay at the Chandelier Bar, which is, of course, where the name's derived from?
I thought it was about being useful at the Chandelier Bar.
No. Okay, so how many of us have had a hand pay at the Chandelier Bar? I'm not raising my hand.
No, not me.
I'm not raising my hand.
Okay, so we have something to look forward to. Some pretty good merch, too, right? I got a hand pay at the Chandelier Bar, and all I got was this T-shirt and a tax form, maybe. So how these are going to typically go, and this was not necessarily my idea, but I liked it, was that a lot of times we're going to have kind of two-part episodes, if you will, to make sure that they are at a nice kind of proper edible length, if you will. So I think for this one, we're going to talk about first your guys' recent trip report from Las Vegas in June for Vegas vacation. And then after that, we're going to break. We'll do another segment just about a general gambling topic as well. So both of you were in Vegas. I wish I was there. A lot of really cool people were there for Vegas vacation. James, you want to kind of start us off a little bit about you getting there and kind of some highlights? And Jack, sprinkle in your thoughts because you were there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that I ended up going out because I knew Jack was going to be there. So you're welcome, Jack, that both myself and my wife, Kim, showed up. We left on Saturday, which is our anniversary, June 21st. So this was an anniversary trip for Kim and I. And I tell you what, it started off great because we were in the Chicago airport and there was a group of guys. They looked like they were a band. They looked cool. They had like cool hairdos, tattoos and stuff.
Like us.
And then these two teenage girls start going crazy and they're like talking to their dad and they're saying, "Can you get a picture? Can you get a picture?" And they go over and they take a picture of this guy with them. And he has like a man bun up. And Kim and I have no clue who this is. But people keep going up to him. They're like taking pictures. And I'm like, what is going on? So we were waiting in line and I was eavesdropping. And it ended up being Subtronics, which is like an EDM, very famous DJ who was playing that night at Encore Beach Club. So he was going from Chicago to there. So he was on the flight. It was kind of interesting because it was him and like a bunch of people who were probably like I don't know if it's a band. Listen, I'm cool, but I'm not.
Stunt doubles.
Entourage, yeah.
His entourage. But he was the only one in first class. The rest of them were back with the peasants.
Of course.
Like us.
Here's the thing. You texted us this, like Subtronics is on my flight. And I just like out of support and wanting you to be excited was like, totally, that's awesome. But I had no idea who that was. I had to like Google.
I assumed it was like a new hydraulic system for the flaps on the wings or something.
I thought it was an a cappella group.
It does sound like an a cappella group. But I did start following on TikTok, because I was like, fine, he's on my flight. Yeah. So like that was pretty much the highlight of my trip. As we'll get into all the crap sessions that we lost money at.
And so you live in central Pennsylvania. So you were in the Chicago airport bright and early in the morning because you were connecting through?
Actually, on the way out, because I gained 3 hours, we left here at State College around 11 a.m.
Oh, not so bad.
Yeah, and still was able to get into Vegas around 4 p.m. Checked in at Planet Hollywood. I love having gold or diamond, so that way I can check in at the diamond desk at Planet Hollywood. They upgraded us. I'm doing some air quotes for upgraded us because I'm pretty sure it was the same room type, but they just were like, "Oh, we'll put you on a corner," but it was right above their party pool. So, if I didn't know who Subtronics was before, I guess I knew what type of music it was because one, from 1 p.m. till 8 p.m., it was just bumping the entire time. So, yeah, it was a good time getting in.
So I was going to ask, you didn't just have a room at Planet Hollywood for this weekend. Where else were you staying?
Well, at one point we had 3 rooms. So we had a room at Fontainebleau and at Wynn as well as Planet Hollywood, which is completely different from you, right? You don't like that. I love having multiple rooms. I think when I'm going back in a couple weeks, I'm going to have 3 rooms again.
Presumably you booked the extra rooms to like take advantage of additional offers, but you did them all coincident, right? Like you had the Planet Hollywood room the whole trip.
Right. So the Planet Hollywood I booked at the beginning of just having a base because that's more central, and I knew that you were center strip as well. Fontainebleau, the only way they gave me the $200 free play is if I booked 3 nights. So I couldn't book one night and grab it. So I was like, well, I guess I had to book that for 3 nights. And then Wynn gave me a pretty decent offer, $425 in resort credit. And we wanted to go to Pisces, which we'll talk about later. So I decided to grab that for a couple nights as well.
Does that make it easier when you're planning a trip that you just kind of book whatever's on the buffet in front of you? Or does it make it harder because you're like, oh, instead of having to pick one hotel, I have to pick 3?
It's difficult. It depends on, usually the first one to pick is easy because I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to focus on. And then I'll get an offer and be like, well, maybe I should go to Resorts World, or, oh, I can't believe Downtown Grand's giving me this offer. And,
Yeah, so I did what you insinuated I might do, which is I just booked one room for 5 nights, and I was at Vidara, which is at kind of tucked in the back there behind Cosmopolitan between Bellagio and Aria, and it's probably the hotel I've stayed at the most in Vegas in all my trips, just because it's near some of the properties I like the most, and I really like how easy it is to get in and out of, at least by car. If you're going anywhere else, going downtown, you don't have to worry about like traffic on the strip, which is really nice. And that kind of leads me into the first question I had for you guys: is have you ever been long hauled in an Uber? Because I like picked Vidar because it's easy to get to. When we get to the airport, me and 2 of my buddies that are going out there for the World Series of Poker are on this flight with me. And when we get to the airport, the guy says, "Oh, should I just call an Uber?" And I say, "Sure." As soon as we leave the airport, they take that right turn into the tunnel there. And back before rideshare was so ubiquitous, a lot of Vegas media would caution you against getting long hauled by taxis that are going to tunnel you, meaning take you through this little interstate connector out of the airport that kind of drops you off south of the airport away from the strip onto the 215 interstate. And so normally that was kind of like a death sentence where you're just like, all right, I'm going to have to either like fight the taxi driver when I get to my hotel or just suck it up and overpay. In an Uber, not usually an issue. So, but I have actually been long hauled in an Uber before, which is why I want to ask you that, like where you get quoted one price and then they take some bullshit route and then they up the price on you because the ride took so long.
Yeah, I think early on in the rideshare launch, that happened to me, I think at least once or twice. I did the same thing. Was like, yeah, this isn't the shortest route, but it hasn't happened since.
So in this one, we end up on the interstate, and I'm not mad because when you're in an Uber, you don't actually get long hauled. I'm like, oh, they must know that this is quicker or something like that. But I remembered right as we pulled onto the main I-15 freeway that basically runs parallel to the strip, north-south, right through that main corridor. I remembered as part of the new construction they had been doing around Tropicana, they added an HOV ramp onto Harmon Avenue, which is the one that Vidara is on immediately between Cosmo and Aria. There's an HOV ramp that you can take exiting the interstate going northbound or getting onto the interstate coming south. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to basically exit the interstate right onto our hotel. And they just blew past it and took us past Bellagio anyways. So I have no idea what they thought they were doing, but we didn't get charged extra on the app. So I can't say it was a true Uber long haul.
Jack, I thought you always got yourself a car from the airport.
I'd been doing that a lot. I didn't do that for this trip, mostly just because I had friends with me that would like be disappointed if I had done something like that. Like it would be a waste of money. And so I didn't bother. But I've also switched to I'm going to be more taxi inclined in the future with how short the taxi lines are and how cheap the flat rate rates are. I mean, they're not super cheap, but they are, I think, well priced. I think it is a good price to be able to just hop in a taxi and leave the airport.
Well,
That's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
That's what Kim and I did. We grabbed a cab. However, if you want to pay by card, it's an extra $3. So whatever, it was a 20, I think Planet Hollywood was 20, maybe it was 22. But then if I wanted to pay by card, it was an extra 3 and a tip. It ended up being more than what Uber would have been. So I paid in cash just out of like spite. Even though,
no, see, I feel like that's part of, I feel like it's such an old school transaction that way. If you have your cash in hand, the car is already there waiting for you. You don't have to the Uber pickup. It's gotten a lot better at the Las Vegas airport, but it has gotten a lot more complicated, and it's just more of a shit show when you go out there. And so the fact that the taxi line has gotten simpler and shorter and easier just makes it feel like, I don't know, it feels like hailing a cab, right? It feels like
there was nobody, and we were the only ones getting in a cab.
Exactly. Anyway, so I finally make it to Vidara.
So Vidara.
Yeah, Vidara. I've got
a transition. It took longer to get to Vidara in our conversation than it would have from the airport to Vidara.
I really like staying in one place long enough to be able to unpack like my whole suitcase. Like I'll travel with like a full-size checked luggage suitcase and pack like way more clothes than one man can wear in 5 days. And then it all goes in like the closet or the dresser or the bureau or that kind of stuff. So
what room did you have at Vidara? Did you just have the base like studio?
No, so I had an executive corner suite, which sounds exciting, but you know, a standard room at Vidara is probably just shy of 600 square feet, and the executive corner suite is just shy of 800. So it's not a huge room by any means. But the reason I booked it is that I had a buddy staying with me for the first couple nights before another friend joined us, and those two got a room. And I wanted him to have his own like separate kind of living space apart from me, especially if he was going to be getting out of the poker tournament really late at night or I wanted to go to bed. And there's a big heavy door kind of between the living room and the half bath that's out there in the living room area, and then the like master bedroom and master bath. And so that way I wouldn't disrupt him when I was getting ready in the morning because I get up before him. He wouldn't disrupt me if he's staying up later. In the past, when we had shared a room at Vidara, he would just sit in the bathroom on just like sitting on a closed toilet, just like on his laptop, because he wanted to be able to like read and have the lights on and like not be going to bed. And so he'd just be like in the bathroom for a couple hours when I go to bed at like midnight and he goes to bed at 2. And so Adam's giving me a quizzical look. You don't just have a bathroom buddy in Vegas?
Like Vidara is like nice enough where you go to the lobby and like read like a little booklet or something. You don't have to sit on the toilet while you're, I don't know. He doesn't mind a little toilet reading for 2 hours.
Anyways,
no disrespect to your buddy. I'm sure he's listening. It's very thoughtful of him not to disturb you like that.
Oh yeah, I would have just disturbed the hell out of you. Like I wouldn't care. I'm just gonna read.
It's not reading is an intensive activity either. Like like clanging pans in the Vidara kitchen or something.
I would have deserved it because the issue here was that the pull-out couch just completely sucked. It was like a sunken mess. And he had slept on a Vidara pull-out couch before and had not had a problem with it. So we were like, oh, maybe this will be fine. And it was not great.
You probably had the same room that Colin and I had when I saw you earlier this year, where he slept on the pull-out couch the first night. And then he woke up that morning and he said, that was the worst night of sleep I've ever had, and just slept on the couch from then on.
Yeah, that's what my buddy did too. He's like, screw it, I'm just sleeping on this, like just as a couch.
So our first piece of advice is do not sleep on the pull-out couches in Vidara.
But yeah, so the only thing I had on the schedule that day when we got in was that we had dinner booked at the little E with an accent mark, the Jose Andres restaurant inside Jaleo at Cosmopolitan. That's like 9 seats. It only does 2 seatings a night. So it's a prefix menu. It's very high-end kind of molecular gastronomy style, 25 courses kind of thing. And this has always been on my list of something I want to do in Vegas. And I'd never even seen availability for it on like the online booking portal. And I assumed it must just book up immediately. But it might have just been a browser issue of mine because my buddy was able to see it and book it for us for that Saturday night, only like maybe a month in advance. So the reservations had been open for quite some time.
Nice. And how'd you like it?
I thought it was incredible. All in, you prepay and pay tax and tip up front, and all in it was $420 a person, which is a lot. But
Yeah.
even given that price tag, I would say it exceeded my expectations. The food was fantastic. There was a lot of like interesting stuff. I'd say the most interesting one was this dish that they called the Wonder Bread, and it had these two like white bread looking slices on a little like 2 inch by 2 inch sandwich, but they were made of like crisped egg whites. It wasn't bread. And then inside of it was like a foie gras pate with thinly shaved black truffles and thinly sliced apple slices. And I was just like, just bring me 5 more of these. Like these, it was a remarkable dish, but there was a lot of other cool stuff there. And the service, I mean, even commenting on the service feels boorish. It'd be like me watching an F1 like pit stop and being like, oh, these guys look pretty coordinated. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Like the service was just immaculate. Like there was more people, chefs and service people waiting on us than there were diners at the establishment. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about some of those places. Even like things that aren't that expensive or even notable, like when Picasso was still around. It's like the food at Picasso wasn't stellar. Like I've had better dishes elsewhere, but the service was great. The atmosphere was really cool. So it was really well worth the money. So I'm glad to hear that because that's definitely on my bucket list as well. Did either of you gamble at all on Saturday? Because we're about 20 minutes in and there's no gambling discussion whatsoever. We've talked about taxis.
I had to skip over it to get to this, but yeah, the next thing we did after we came down from this restaurant was met up with our buddy who landed after us that was at the bar, along with James and Kim who were at the bar.
At the bar, which bar are we talking about?
So the restaurant was at Cosmo. We went down to the Cosmo Chandelier bar.
Oh, the bar. Okay.
Yeah, the bar.
When we say the bar,
it's all right. Capital T. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I had before I met up with Jack, I had already hit up the High Limit Video Poker Room at Planet Hollywood. Started that weekend was a 5x multiplier, so I was like, I'm going to get the Diamond Plus. So I was playing a little bit of. I mainly play 3-line bonus poker, dollars, so $15 a spin. And then we went over. Kim and I went over to Cosmo, waiting for Jack and his buddies to get done with their fancy dinner. And we had happy hours, Teca Bar, and then China Poblano. It was
great,
amazing. My Kim said that I had to talk about the salt air margaritas on here because it was the best thing that she had.
I actually had one of those. That was what both me and Ryan chose as our first drink at A. So we were impressed with that.
So in terms of the Planet Hollywood High Limit Room, how would you rank it? There's no scale that I'm going to give you, but
it would rank pretty low. It's pretty small. But the drink service was bad, pitiful, non-existent, if you will. They did have one wall of video poker, which had decent 7-5, I think, bonus poker, so it's fine tables. And yeah, so not great, but it's there.
Is there a bar in there?
No.
I think I'm done with high limit rooms without bars. Like I know you like the Aria high limit room, but I'm starting to really dislike it because it just feels so cramped. Like remember when we were all there last year and it was just like we were so cramped in that little space just trying to play.
So we were in that like leather bound Aria slot cave.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, that could be a good room to play in by yourself, certainly. But so when you say you're done with rooms without bars, it's not necessarily because you want to sit at the bar, but because the type of room that has a bar, it tends to be like bigger and more open.
It's both, yes. Okay. I mean, I typically would want to stay at the bar, but yeah, that it just kind of gives you that space. Like I'm thinking like Palazzo, and even like Resorts World calls it the high limit room, where it's not. It's just like a different space in the casino. Like there's no like it's not intimate whatsoever. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. So take me back to now Chandelier Bar. No hand pays. Were good times had at least?
I had a good time. I got crushed, but
we really didn't stay there all too long. I know prior in the day, I had lost like $1,000 at Resorts World. I snuck out there right after we landed and made it back in time to get to dinner. So
did you walk there?
I did walk there. I did walk
psycho.
back.
Okay.
I managed to lose a quick $400 at Chandelier Bar before James managed to cajole us to go play some dice at Cosmo. And the dice was awesome. It was just like one of those. So a few of my buddies played with us at first, and I think we went around the table like once with the 5 of us that were playing. Each of us had like a decent roll. Like everyone made a point or a few numbers or something where like the worst roll was like maybe a small loser, and most rolls were winner rolls of that first time around the table. My buddies decided it's time to go hit up the Bellagio poker room and try to get some actual poker in. And it was just me, James, and Kim left. And they went on a tear. It was mostly Kim just having a couple monster rolls. But James, I think, had a good roll in there. I was at the table as well.
I'm sure you had a good roll as well. I mean, you ended up pretty big, and both Kim and I won as well.
Right. So yeah, that's part of the reason I brought up my losses to this point. I think I won like exactly the 1,400 I was down at this point on the trip. Won that back before we cashed out and went our separate ways.
Did you use the Vidara bath at night?
Did I use the bath?
Yeah, this is an episode 0 callback. And no one's listened to that. But did you use the Vidara bath?
No, I did not. I didn't use the bath actually at any point.
All right, fine.
I was going to do an episode 0 callback and say, you know, I know you were talking about how not having a great first day, like not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
I love the first day. I'm just on such a high. And usually what happens is then at some point, because I've been up from the East Coast for forever, then when I finally am done, I just pass out, which is what happened after that decent craps roll.
That's probably what I should have done. I instead, after that craps roll and my newfound bankroll replenishment, I was like, it's time to go back to the Chandelier Bar and pound away at some more video poker. And the Chandelier Bar was all full. And so I kind of did that like weird hover around for a bit to kind of like see if anyone is like not really playing or just getting a drink. And there was nowhere really to sit. So I went over to the Sportsbook Bar at the Cosmopolitan and played there. And that bar is actually really nice. I think the bartenders there are very good. I think the comp drinks are kind of the same level as what you'd get at the Chandelier Bar. And so you can order nice cocktails there. They have a cocktail list. It's a little more abbreviated than what you're going to find at Chandelier, but it's a really nice place to play. And this kind of underscores one point that I've realized in my last couple trips, which is that it's really important to have a backup bar, especially if the bar you want to play at has fewer seats than the crowd of people that often want to play there. Like we think about the Palazzo High Limit Bar in the evening where there are literally 6 machines. The Chandelier Bar has more than that. I'd say it maybe has 20 machines, but only half actually have the video poker games I want to play. And so the chance
and the rest are like filled with like 28-year-olds ordering or sipping like a Corona, you know, not playing, which is like one of the more frustrating things too.
Yeah. I tend to I mean, I know at the Cosmo Chandelier Bar exactly which machines have the like Ultimate X on them, so I don't have to like accidentally sit down at a machine that's one that I don't want to play. But even with that, it's kind of a bummer to not have the game you want to play open. And it's why, you know, places that the table games aren't open 24/7 or stuff like that, that can get on people's nerves a lot because kind of part of the Vegas being a 24-hour town is that you can do what you want when you want to do it. And so if the place where you want to do these Vegas-based activities is often full, having a backup, I think, is really nice. And the Sportsbook Bar was that for us.
I think I've spent more time at the Sportsbook Bar in previous trips than Chandelier, even though Chandelier was my preference just because that's how it's been. I think I hovered behind you for like an hour at one point before I just like gave up and left because no one was getting up from their seat. But all right, let's take us then to Sunday. I imagine we went right back to Cosmo and hit up Chandelier Bar again. And I say that because I can see your notes, James.
Well, yeah, Kim and I woke up. I wake up so early in Vegas just because I pretty much stay on East Coast time. So I'm up at 5 most of the time, 6 the latest. And so, you know, we both kind of woke up at the same time. Like, well, we may as well go over because we were planning on going to the Wicked Spoon for brunch because they're doing the 2-for-1 that you go to the MGM.
That's the buffet at Cosmo.
Yeah, Wicked Spoon, the buffet. So we went over to the Chandelier Bar because I had to go to the desk to get that 2-for-1 on the card, and that didn't open until 8. So I was like, well, we'll go over, we'll play a little bit. Nothing really happened. And we went to Wicked Spoon. It was pretty good it's $54 a person. So like, you know, for brunch. However, if you're doing a 2-for-1, then it's $54 for 2 people, and it was great. But then Kim ordered like a $22 cocktail. So I was like, well, that kind of ruins the entire trying to do it cheap. But you know, you do what you do. Yeah, if you are reading my notes, I will say this.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm not ashamed. We were finishing up, and I told Kim, I said, I'm gonna shit myself. So I need to go to the bathroom. I go into the bathroom in Wicked Spoon, and there are 4 people waiting for the 2 stalls. Like both urinals are open. There are 4 people waiting for the 2 stalls that are in use. So I like walk back to Kim, and I'm like, hey, here's my player's card. And my
Waddled back.
I gotta go. And the closest bathrooms to Wicked Spoon are back all the way through. You go like past Super Frico all the way through. Then there's the kind of like lobby-ish area, and then way to the end. And I'm getting there, and I noticed that the women's bathroom has the rope across it, like it's closed. And I'm like, oh my God, if the men's room is closed too, I'm not making it. But I made it. It was fine.
I feel like they should have more than 2 stalls in a buffet bathroom. Like that should be illegal, I think, actually.
So yeah, so that's what that was my highlight of that experience.
So I went to a restaurant for breakfast that doesn't make you shit yourself, and that's Thomas Keller's Bouchon at
High bar.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about Bouchon at the Venetian is it's really rare in Vegas to have a restaurant that you would never see unless you were trying to go there, because it's in Venetian's South Tower, which kind of has like a 10th floor mezzanine level lobby that you have to take an elevator up to. And then from there, you would further take your elevator up to your guest room if you were staying in that tower, which, I don't know, seemed to be something a few places tried. I know what's now the Waldorf Astoria kind of has that, where the entire hotel lobby is halfway up the hotel and you have to take 2 elevators to get anywhere. But Bouchon at Venetian for breakfast, which is only open 3 days a week, one of my favorite places to get breakfast in Vegas. It's not cheap, and it's very, rich, kind of rich French food. It was great. I went there with a buddy. We went there around 9 in the morning. It was really easy to just walk in, get a seat at the bar. Got to take a nice walk to walk off all the carbs afterwards.
I'm going to say it has to be good if you went all the way from Vidara to Venetian for breakfast.
It's about like 1.5 miles. Yeah.
Yeah. And you walked.
Yeah. It was actually very pleasant.
Okay.
That early in the morning.
James, did you recover from your incident at Cosmo to do anything else the rest of the day? Okay, good.
Once it got out of my system, it was great. Rest of the day was wonderful. We chilled at the pool at Planet Hollywood. I'm not a big pool guy. Kim loves going to the pool, so I went out for like 20 minutes and then I'm going back into the video poker and high limit. Nothing really to report there. And then we Ubered over to Fontainebleau. Got to check in there early because, yes, this was the second day we're there. We're already checking into another hotel. And it was beautiful. We got to check in early. The only thing that I didn't like was, there's a huge line for check-in. It's like at 1:30. So I went over to the invited guests. I knew that I was not an invited guest, but I always try. Because I say, hey, I've got this offer. I'm 3 nights comp. Like, why not? Like, and
they sent you the offer. They invited you.
Right. Exactly. They looked up. They're like, oh no, sorry, you got to go on that line. But it went really fast. Like it was super quick. Maybe like 5 minutes. Oh, a funny story in that there was a guy in front of us who was just like constantly talking to Kim. This older gentleman by himself, and I usually just try and kind of blow these people off. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But Kim just starts engaging because she's too nice of a person.
He's in Subtronics. Is that what you're going to tell us?
He's in Subtronics.
He's in Subtronics.
So he starts like asking like what we're doing. And I was just like, oh, we're here for our anniversary. But Kim's like, oh no, we were at Planet Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And like tells us our whole itinerary. And he's like, oh, this is way different than Planet Hollywood. And then he goes, it's a different class of, and Kim thought he was going to say hotel. So she's like, oh yeah, for sure.
Here we go.
He said, it's a different class of people. And my wife, who's like a very nice person, was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, what's going on? And she was devastated. And I'm like, that's why you don't talk to strangers, Kim. That's why I don't talk to strangers.
I do like that. Like, people testing the waters of like mild racism with people in line.
Yes, that's what he was doing, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But the room was beautiful. We got $200 in free plays. The only reason why I really went over there, I've only played there once before, and they sent me a decent offer. 68th floor, looking over the strip. It was spectacular. It's still, in my mind, I think the Win room is still better, but it's really nice.
Yeah, it's I love it. I've actually booked rooms there for the Formula One race because they sent me offers, and yeah, I mean it's fantastic. That you can't ignore some of the flaws of it. I mean, it's an island. There's not a ton of casual stuff there outside of like the food court, which is of course a bit overpriced, but there's still tons to like about it, with the exception of like the limited video poker bars. But a lot of nice things going on there.
So the only things I had on the agenda today were the downtown grand meetup for the 360 Vegas vacation at 4 p.m. and then the World Series of Poker food delivery at 8:30 p.m. And so those were kind of the two reasons that this trip came about, was that the poker tournament that my buddies and I wanted to play for the World Series of Poker this year and the 360 Vegas vacation were actually coincident. They both ran Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at the end of June there. And normally I would skip 360 Vegas vacation because the poker tournament we play would be like a week before. And so I'd take like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off work. And then the following week would be 360 Vegas vacation. I'd say, oh, shoot, can't make it this year. But I was able to do both this year in the sense that I skipped playing the poker tournament, right? So I had three friends there that were all there to play in that World Series of Poker event. And I just bought pieces to stake them each a bit rather than play myself. And that meant that I got to go to these meet and greets associated with the 360 Vegas podcast.
You said food delivery. Did you get like a DoorDash job to supplement your losses on day one? What the hell are you talking about?
So normally the way we do it is whoever busts out of the tournament first goes and gets like Earl of Sandwich for the other people that are still in, because by the time you reach like the 6-hour break or the 8-hour break on the first day, the chance that someone has busted of the 4 is at least reasonably high. But I just said, if I'm not playing it this year, I'll just bring you guys food and we don't have to get Earl of Sandwich, which I don't know. Earl of Sandwich we used to really like. I thought it was a quality establishment. I feel like the last few times I've been there, it actually hasn't been very good. But
you're like, guys, I'll walk to Venetian. I'll be right back.
All that.
See you in 4 hours.
Yeah, so I knew my buddies went off to play the tournament around 1:30 for a 2 p.m. start. And so I had a quick session at the Chandelier Bar, which I think was my only winning video poker session of the whole trip. But there were a couple bartenders there I really like. One is a breaker who you only get to see in like hour increments while he lets other people go on break, but the other's there all the time on the day shift, and got them to make me a couple interesting drinks. At that point, though, it was time to head over to Downtown Grand.
Yeah, the 360 Vegas people love Downtown Grand because I think it's so empty they don't have to like reserve space. You just show up with 50 people and you've got the run of the place.
It was pretty empty. I showed up a little late.
Shocking.
I tell you what, I'm probably the only person that ever Ubered from Fontainebleau to Downtown Grand, which I'm going to speak on that again when I talk about where I went from the Win on the following day. Everyone seemed to already be like together though. Like everyone's already kind of paired up. So Kim and I were like, we'll just play some like video poker at the bar. And I tried to order, I tried to order something that was kind of basic. It might have just been a Red Bull. Like, so I was like, I'm kind of tired, just get a Red Bull. And they're like, no, we can't comp it. And I was like, okay, how about like a High Noon or a Truly? They're like, no, we can't comp that either. I'm like, okay, what can you comp? They're like, anything else.
The Red Bull, I believe. I mean, I think this has been mentioned on other podcasts, but like Red Bull has like a really hard cost to the casino. For whatever reason, they don't wholesale that stuff cheap. And so like, unlike the liquor that's on the gun or the bottles behind the bar, like the Red Bull might cost more per ounce than that. It's actually kind of strange.
That's fine. I mean, it was whatever. I'm just used to the shandy, so like I can get my Red Bull, my sugar Red Bull, and bottle of water in the morning.
I tried to get a Fernet and Coke, and they didn't have Fernet, so I got a Scotch. So
what do they supplement if you don't have, like, if they're like, I'll just do an energy drink then? Is it just like Bob's Energy from like the convenience store, or you have to order straight?
I just don't think they comp energy drink. They had Red Bull. I could see them there. They just said that it would be whatever, $8. I was like, I'm not paying $8. I just lost 550 into your machine. There's no way I'm paying $8 for a Red Bull.
I just paid 500 for that Red Bull.
But yeah, I got there right around when it started, and I did at least my best job of kind of flitting around and talking to as many people as I could, whether it's people that I hadn't seen in a while or people that I was just meeting new that day. I knew I wasn't really sticking around for any of the group gaming stuff, so this was kind of my one chance to like say hi, meet people, shake hands, that kind of stuff.
But you're way more plugged into the podcast community than I am. So.
That's true. I knew more people from the get-go for sure.
And you're a podcaster now, so you had to promote and
So by the way, I'm starting this like bullshit podcast that we're not even sure what the name is yet, but make sure you check us out. And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, right away, Jack."
There is a slick deal there, $3, and I mean most people know about it, but $3 for a beer and a hot dog. And the advertisement said it was a 12-ounce beer, but it ended up being 16 ounces. So
okay. I thought you were going to say short. Otherwise, John Mahaffey would be on.
And it ended up being 16. I couldn't remember if it was 24 or 16. I was like, no, it's definitely a 16.
Tall boy PBR and a hot dog.
PBR.
Yeah.
One thing that they were doing that I thought was really interesting is that they had, in view of some of their TVs, they had these little desks. A desk is kind of the best way to put it, that had one of those curved top, bar top machines, curved screen bar top machines embedded into the desk. And you could sit at it in view of kind of like, in lieu of a sports book, they just had a wall that had more TVs on it than other walls did. Mm-hmm. And right in view of those, they had these like 4 little desk stations where you could play bar top video poker, but then be watching that, which I thought was interesting. I've never seen one of those bar top machines just embedded in anything other than an actual bar before.
Mm-hmm. Where's this at in Downtown Grand?
It's right near the bar, actually. Oh, it's just it's probably just it's as far away from the bar in the other direction as the table games are in one direction.
But I think it was facing the sports book.
Yeah, maybe it was a sports book, and I just thought it was a few TVs.
I mean, that's what most downtown sports books are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not in the former esports section of the casino. Remember that, like, year and a half where they did that?
Did they do that at Downtown Grand?
Yeah, they had a whole room. It's in the back. It's probably just slots now, where it's just an esports area.
I think that's the Huff and Puff room now.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
It's just all the different Huff and even more Puffs.
Absolutely. I can't believe the esports room didn't take on, but
I feel like the main use of an esports room, you would think would just be like it's where to drop off your like 17-year-old kid while you go gamble, because I don't know who else would be using that in Las Vegas. But speaking of dropping your teenage son off to play some games, after the meetup, I went.
You went to go hang out with teenagers.
No, I went and dropped James and Kim off at the View Bar at the D because they weren't familiar with that, or at least they hadn't played there before. And I said, "Oh, this is like one of the best machines. These are some of the best machines in Vegas for the payback. They've got the progressive, which leads to kind of a fun social atmosphere where if someone hits the progressive on 4 of a kind, which is a pretty easy hand to hit, it's going to be someone else at the bar hitting it, and you'll see them celebrate as you see the little counter on your machine go back to the reset value of $31.25. So I knew that they were going to be continuing on downtown to eat dinner at Hugo's Cellar at Four Queens. So I said, hey, let's stop by the View Bar at the D. That's a good place to play for a bit. So I dropped the kids off there.
The problem with that is it's quarter single line, right?
Oh, yeah. It's terribly boring if you're used to playing video poker at other levels, but
yeah,
I don't know. I can have a good time at that bar.
Oh no, it was definitely a good time.
Yeah, I think with a group that wants to slow play a bit, that's probably best. Well, here's a transition. You dropped the kids off, and they went to Hugo's Cellar.
That is true. We did. We head over to Four Queens, and funny enough, I'm walking through the casino, and I hear someone yell James, and I'm like, oh, they must be talking about someone else. But I turn around, and it's an economics professor from San Diego or University of San Diego, who like I know, but I have not seen her in probably 12 years. It was just randomly at Four Queens playing at the tub, like the little tub, the single dealer craps table. So I got to play that with her for a little while. which was just so random before our dinner. Then Kim and I went down to Hugo Cellar, which was fine. You know, I've heard a lot of people rave about it, and it was good. But I'm not going to be like, man, this was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually just listened to a podcast today where they had a restaurant designer. He was the guy that ultimately designed that wine tower at the original Ariol restaurant at Mandalay Bay, where they had like the giant wine cellar that stretched up for like 3 stories.
The people like suspended down to like
Yeah,
grab
exactly.
it and stuff.
The wine angels would fly in and grab the bottles. Anyways,
Is that your name for them, or is that what they were really called?
that was what they were really called.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you just had like a cutesy, yeah.
The thing he said on this podcast was that the 3 pillars of restaurants are the food, the service, and the design. And I would say that Hugo Cellar is probably more known for the latter 2, where it's the ambiance and the service that you get, the tableside stuff, the like ladies are given a rose when they come in, that kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and that was really cool. And so you know, we each had a steak. Again, it was fine. They tried to give Kim the rose like as she was leaving. They're like, "Can we wrap this for you?" And she's like, "What the hell am I going to do with a rose? I'm not walking around Vegas with a rose. Like, no, give it to somebody else."
There's 3 men in a thong right outside your door right now, like and yard drinks. You know, I don't need to carry this with me.
I don't need to carry it. So it was pretty good. I mean, it was kind of it was $300 for the 2 of us. I didn't have a drink. Kim had a drink, but we ordered, you know, whatever. We each ordered the $95 steak, which comes with everything, and you know, a dessert. It was our anniversary, and we do this even when it's not like we're going to be going back in 2 weeks. It's not our anniversary. We're going to tell every restaurant it's our anniversary because you get a free dessert. You get something.
No, I like that. That's positive EV play, and that's what we're all about here on this podcast. It's getting those freebies. Gene Scott, eat your heart out. Okay. So you went to Zuma, Jack. I'm segueing you into this, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it because I have strong opinions on it.
So that's interesting. I'd been there before, and I think I'd been there once before. I think the last time I went there, I just got like 1 roll and then whatever the chef's special of nigiri was, like the 7-piece nigiri.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the food I was served was fine. It was just, and it was what I wanted, which is I wanted somewhere quick to eat that was going to be not like a really heavy Vegas meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went there. I got an order each of yellowtail tuna and unagi nigiri, which is like cooked eel, and then just like one of their like crab rolls or something like that. And it was just way more. I mean, I saw the prices before I ordered it, so I knew what I was getting into. But the 2 pieces of unagi nigiri was $31.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like
insanely expensive.
I was like, cooked eel is like, you can get that at like an all-you-can-eat sushi place. It's not like one of the, at least in my mind, it's not like one of the higher-end fish or something. It's not even served raw. It's like they don't even have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it was, way too expensive. I probably wouldn't go back knowing what the prices are. But in the moment, it was what I wanted, and it was good. The one funny thing was that there was like this loud old guy next to me that came and sat like right next to me at the bar after I had ordered, but like before I received my food. And he's looking through the menu, and he's like, it says here that the bone-in ribeye steak is 32 ounces. Now, is that with the bone in, or is that the weight without the bone? And the waitress is like, that's the weight including the bone. And he's like, well, do you know what the weight is without the bone? And she's like, I can go ask for you. And she goes and like asks this guy. And I'm
she just went to the bathroom, came back.
No,
like,
I see
yeah,
her like you can
ounces.
see her talk to a guy. I mean, whether or not they're discussing like the whatever. But anyways, she at this point, I'm just like, what is wrong with this guy? Is he just like trying to make trouble? Like, she comes back and says, the chef says it's about 24 ounces of meat, in that bone-in steak. He goes, oh, that's way too much. I can't eat all that. I'll have to order something
Sounds
else.
like Hank Hill from
So he decides to order something else. I was like, I can't believe that learning that it was going to be about 24 ounces of meat changed your mind in the slightest. That's like blew my mind.
Principles.
But some people just like to hear themselves talk. And Adam, hold on a sec. I have something more to say.
Okay. Okay. Say, I want to know what his threshold was, but it was probably the mildly racist guy from Fontainebleau who was
That's
same
what I was
guy.
thinking. I was like, it has to be the same guy.
I'm not going to play in Hollywood. I'll go to Cosmo though, but only if it's
Mhm.
25 ounces.
Yeah.
But no, he was mad that
No,
it was
he
too
was
big.
He was complaining because it was too much.
Oh, it was
meat.
big. I wasn't even paying attention. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the part that like I felt a bit better about him after it wasn't like he was trying to like nickel and dime the bone in ribeye, but then yeah.
Does he know how much a bone, like the density of a bone is not that? Like I'm confused about what this guy's whole knowledge base is now. I'm going to be thinking about him for a long time.
Also, like, is he like, oh man, I only buy steaks that have huge bones in them.
If it was an 8-ounce steak with a 24-ounce bone, he would have just been like licking his chops like Wile E. Coyote with a.
Just get the ribs, man. Like, good Lord.
He's a rib guy. That's what he is.
Oh God. Okay. Well, anything else? I know James, you went to bed after dinner because I could see in the notes. But
Yeah, we just went back to. We ended up. We're like, we want to stay at Fontainebleau, so we went and stayed at Fontainebleau.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then Jack, you had a DoorDash run you had to make.
I had to deliver, so I just picked up some wraps from Bong Bar there at the Cosmo. That's that David Chang stall in their food court that does like, I don't know, kind of Korean street food sort of stuff, spit roasted meats. I can't recommend that place highly enough, but dropped that off for the folks in the tournament who like scarfed it down in 10 minutes and then went back to playing poker, because that first day is just a complete grind. You play for 10 hours and get 4 15-minute breaks.
Yeah. Did they scarf it down like Helmuth with that roast beef sandwich? Have you seen that?
No,
I feel like
I
it was a
didn't see
comedy
that.
bit. Have you seen that? Have you heard about this? He like opened the sandwich up like the buns and then ate it like from the inside and then closed the buns. It was the weirdest. Google it or YouTube it. It's the weirdest thing that I think I've never seen someone eat like that before.
Was he
And
eating at
it's
the poker
such a-
table? Or was he
Yes.
getting, he wasn't being
It was
like
at the
okay.
table.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So at this point, I made a really controversial decision, which is I realized like I had had a few drinks in the afternoon, but the last drink I had was that scotch and soda I had at Downtown Grand at like 4:30, and now it's like 9 p.m. and I'm like tired. But I know that my buddies are all going to be up late, and as they bust out of the tournament or don't, they're going to be up even later. And so I go and take a nap from like 9:30 to 10:30. And I actually wake up at 10:30 in Vegas feeling actually pretty refreshed. And so it's like, okay, it's now Sunday part 2. And I head down. At this point, one of my buddies actually busted while I was asleep. And he messaged me and was like,
Okay.
oh, no.
No, keep it.
Oh, no.
I hate busting early in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
right
worst.
there.
He was in the bathroom reading, and he's like, he got to a really juicy chapter.
He was on. Anyways, he messaged me, hey, I'm at like Bellagio and I'm playing Ultimate X. You should come over, and say no more. Right. So I get over there and he says, here, try this, and hands me like a drink. And he's like, this is supposed to be a spicy mezcal margarita. And I'm like, well, there's definitely no mezcal in it. It could be tequila, but he's like, I think the guy just like forgot to put in the booze. Like he just poured me margarita mix, which it could have been. Anyways, I was like, I used that opportunity to say, what if we, instead of playing at Bellagio, just went back to Cosmo? And he was all more than happy to do that. He had kind of lost $600 at my favorite Ultimate X game in pretty quick and unceremonious fashion. So he was kind of down on himself for that. But we did a change of scenery and went to that sportsbook bar at Cosmo that I've been kind of raving about. And this was some of the most fun I had on the trip, was this kind of after nap, late night. At second, James,
when James was finally asleep.
Yeah, no,
like,
second only to that first night with the craps I played with James.
My friend's busted. James is asleep. Now the party starts.
Exactly.
We just had a great time at the bar there. The bartender was super attentive. The comp drinks were better. We were able to get nicer drinks, and the drinks were better than I would have thought you would get at that sportsbook bar. Here's my section called "It's Not All Bad," because everyone
new segment alert.
Yeah, new segment. People like to talk about the way like Vegas has been getting worse and worse for the customer, and so this section's called "It's Not All Bad." When Cosmo first switched over from the drink tickets that you used to get printed out at the Chandelier Bar to the little light system that determines whether or not you're eligible for a free drink, the cap on what sort of free drink you get was like $17.
Mhm.
So anything over that, they wouldn't comp. That meant certain things, like if I ordered a cocktail with brandy in it, like oftentimes at a bar, I will order a sidecar, which is just brandy, orange liqueur, and lemon juice. And they would say, sorry, we can't comp that because we don't have any brandy on the gun. And the only brandy that we have at the bar is Hennessy, which is $18, and that's over 17, so we don't comp it.
Mhm.
And at some point in the last year or so, that's clearly changed, because not only can I just order a sidecar and they say, sure, no problem, but B, I overheard a bartender explaining that they comp anything up to $25 now at the Chandelier bar. And by extension, it seems they do so at the Sportsbook bar as well. And that meant he could get like Lafroig 10-year Scotch whiskey comped at Chandelier bar. So
Nice.
things like that seem to have gotten better. And I think at the Resorts World high limit bar, the amount you need to play to qualify for like the high end comps, that bar's light system distinguishes between like lower bet amounts and higher bet amounts at the Resorts World Rockford's bar. Surprises me more casinos don't do that, given that the machines can do it. But that seems to be easier to hit now. You can I used to have to play blisteringly fast if I wanted to make my machine light start flashing to be eligible for like the really high end drinks. And these days it just kind of seemed to be flashing despite my standard slow play. And the last thing that's not all bad is that a lot of these high limit rooms still have, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this. They have like what we affectionately call like the ghetto 3-line 25-cent video poker.
Mm-hmm.
Which is you pick a game like Super Times Pay or Ultimate X, where you're normally betting more than 5 coins a line. And as a result, they let you play quarters at the high limit bar because the normal bets for it are so much higher. And then you just refuse to play the bonus feature and just play 5 credits a line. And the game gets treated like normal 3-line video poker. Between those 3 factors, I think Vegas is actually a better place to play bar top video poker for the consumer than it was 2 years ago.
No, and that closes out this version of It's Not All Bad, presented by CarMax. I don't know. I don't have we don't have a sponsor lined up. I don't know why CarMax just jumped in. But hey, were there any difference between like the bartenders in terms of what they said they would comp? Because I've had that issue before.
No, it's been remarkably consistent at Chandelier Bar, I think, in my experience there.
Okay, I've had differences like at Resorts World. That was a problem for a little bit. I've certainly had that at Chandelier in the past, so that's good. All right, so comp consistency. It's not all bad. That's great.
Not all bad.
Oh, yeah, we do it.
It's not all
Love
bad.
it.
CarMax.
What a great...
Go to handy.vegas/CarMax.
CarMax. And get your next car. We get 5% commish. It's great.
Yeah. So now we're at the halfway point of my trip. And we wake up on Monday, and I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym because I legitimately try and go 2 to 3 times when I'm in Vegas. I try and go to the gym. I forgot to say this, but I'd already been to the Planet Hollywood gym, which was worse than a Motel 6 gym. Like it was, everything was broken. I'm for my personal trainer, I'm logging like the weights that I'm using. They didn't have numbers on like the free weights. So I was like, I think it's this number. Fountain Blue. Oh my God, it was spectacular.
It's a gorgeous gym.
It was a gorgeous, gorgeous gym. And loved it. It was wonderful.
We need video poker on the ellipticals, and then I'd probably be in there all day.
Oh, 100%. I don't want to walk on the strip with Jack, but I'll go and I'll elliptical it.
I love that idea.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to patent that. It's a new segment alert, new game alert. Gravity poker and ellipticals with video poker on them.
And then if you turn up the incline on the treadmill you're walking on, you get the gravity feature more often.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We played a little bit of video poker and then went and had those expensive egg sandwiches. Like you said, the food is expensive. We didn't do anything else other than that food court, but it's like $50 for 2 egg sandwiches and a Diet Coke and a coffee. So,
did you crap yourself?
No, I did not.
Okay, so there we go. The bar has been raised. It is good, though. I mean, all the food there's good. But it's pricey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was checking into Wynn the next day. So this is the 3rd day of my trip, checking into my 3rd hotel.
A different class of people, as some would say.
It's a different class of people.
Word on the street.
And at 9 a.m. is when you can check in online. So I checked in online at 9 a.m. and then it was like, your room's ready. It's like, oh,
Nice.
okay,
Perfect.
So we went over to Wynn because that's where we had 5 o'clock reservations at Pisces. We usually get either super early reservations or we'll just like go to the bar. Like we've had dinner at the SW bar like a half dozen times as soon as they open, and it's great. The service is better, I think, actually, because you're just like one-on-one with the bartender and bringing stuff out. It was expensive, but it was a really, really good meal. And I'm usually not the type of person who's like, oh man, this dinner was great. Kim was just over the moon. It was like, wow, this is amazing. She had some $120 fish that I don't even know what it was, because I don't know anything about food, especially about seafood. I had a tuna steak, and it was also our anniversary that day, according to what I put in the in the reservation. So I did get a couple cocktails there, and Kim got 2 glasses of wine because she'll just drink a ton of wine, and our free dessert that we got because it was her anniversary.
Yeah.
And it was about $400 for 2 of us, so not awful. And we had resort credit, but it was definitely worth for like, that was our legitimate anniversary dinner. I would 100% go back, and I'm debating on in 2 weeks booking Wynn so I can just kind of try and burn them again and use the $200 they're going to give me so I can go there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Josh at Crap Vegas had some positive things to say about it too, and he's a big foodie, as we all know.
Yeah. From there, I took another Uber that is probably one of the more common routes, which was Wynn to Luxor.
Yes. Reverse engineering. Yeah.
Exactly. For the 360 Vegas vacation meetup there. Saw Jack, talk with Mark Duvall for a little bit. And again, I got there after it already started. People are already kind of like chatting. They didn't want to kind of, move my way in. But I didn't have a casino chip from Luxor. And so if you need to know one thing about me, it's that I like to collect $1 casino chip from every casino I go to. It's a novel idea. No one does this.
I've never heard of it.
I do hold myself to the standard of I need to gamble at that casino. So I put $100 in Huff and Even More Puff and hit a mansion bonus and won 500. And I was like, ooh. So on my spreadsheet for this year, I pretty much guaranteed Luxor will be in the positive. I don't see myself back at Luxor. That was the night that we ended up playing poker, right? In Vidara.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I'll kind of rehash a bit of my Monday. It started with video poker at the bar. So one of my buddies came down to the bar and met me there at the sportsbook at Cosmo. Anyways, the only other remarkable thing that kind of happened that Monday morning was something that was very close to me getting a hand pay at the Chandelier bar, except it was my buddy getting hand pay, and it was at the sportsbook bar. So we kind of missed on the 2 key elements, but this was one of those things that just reminds me about how fun Ultimate X is, because he got a dealt full house, which earns him a 12x multiplier on each of the 3 lines he's playing on the next hand. And he's playing the exact same game I play, which is quarter denomination, which makes it $7.50 a spin. And he gets dealt 3 4s on that 12x, 12x, 12x. And this is one of those things that it's almost more fun to play Ultimate X for these big draws than it is for the big hits. Like the big hits are great, but the big draws are why you play it, because you get the big draws more often than you get the big hits. And he hits deal. He goes bang, full house on the bottom line, another 4 on the middle line for quad 4s, and then another full house for good measure on the top line. It gets like $1,470 hand pay. And this is just one of the reasons I kind of chalk this up as one of the reasons that I enjoy video poker so much more than slots. You won't catch me playing slots. I can probably count on my 2 hands the number of times I've played a slot machine. And it's just because it's not going to give you the thing. If you see that you've got like 3 of the 4 things you need to trigger the jackpot or whatever, you're just not going to get the 4th one. Like if you're on a jackpot bonus where you collect coins and you need to collect 2 purple coins to get the mini and 3 green coins to get the minor, and then 5 red coins to get the grand, you get the 4 red coins, and you're like, I'm just as likely to hit the grand as I was like an hour ago.
It's not going to
Just
give you the thing.
It's never
Yeah.
coming. The fun part with video poker is that sometimes it just gives you the thing. And you have a pretty good idea of how often that sometimes is, because there's 1 4 left in the deck you need.
I love walking through casinos, people playing slots, and I just say to them, it's not going to give you the thing. And I just walk away.
It really seems like on video poker you do sometimes get the thing. I don't personally.
I was gonna say we still haven't gotten the hand pay. So.
I personally don't get the thing, but my buddy did, and so I think that maybe someday it'll happen for me.
Well, a lot of gamblers talk about like the excitement of certain individual events, like the roulette wheel. Like I don't enjoy roulette that much, but like the anticipation of the ball dropping, or craps with like, you know, the anticipation of the dice, you know, finally settling. But for me, at Ultimate X, when you get dealt that full house and you've got 12x on every single hand that's coming up, the anticipation of what's going to come next, it's usually a crap hand.
Yeah, you haven't even dealt the initial hand yet.
Right,
yeah.
right. But it's that anticipation of just seeing what's going to come next and hoping for the best that's to me is probably the most fun I have gambling at this point.
Yeah, so I end up at the same Luxor meetup that James does in that evening around 6 p.m. I don't know. By the time James and Kim show up, I'm probably out of there in the next 30 minutes. I was mostly just making the rounds to catch up with the few people that didn't make it to Sunday's meetup. I got Tony to promise me a 360 Vegas themed cocktail glass if I come back the next day. So I'd make a reminder in my phone to not miss his 12:50 p.m. deadline. So I ended up getting some dinner and readying my hotel room for our team poker game, where we get the gang together and play some $1, $2 poker. And this is not to be clear, this isn't like $1, $2 blinds in no limit Texas Hold'em, which would be a game that like some people might be familiar with playing in a casino. This is $1, $2 fixed limit Texas Hold'em with 50 cent a dollar blinds. And we played some Texas Hold'em, but we kind of played a menagerie of various kind of fun limit games like Omaha 8 or better and Deuce to 7 triple draw and some stud variants and stuff like that. The one we forgot to play, which I think would have been great with 6 people, was second best Hold'em. So it's like regular Texas Hold'em, but at Showdown, whoever has the second best hand wins the whole pot. And so if there's only 2 people left, the worst hand wins. Then obviously if there's more than that left, it can get more exciting. I don't know. I've never played it, never tried it.
Sounds like gravity poker. Wait, who brought the chips for this?
Sorry?
Who brought chips for this?
Oh, I brought chips. So okay. Yeah, I brought chips. I brought a felt for the tabletop.
You brought quarters?
I brought some. Well, no, I had to get those at the cage.
Oh, okay.
I got some quarters at the cage so that we could do those 50-cent blinds.
Just a bag of quarters in your luggage.
Well, that's what I did have on the way home. But people must have thought I hit it big.
Did you enjoy slots of fun? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the really fun part about that is it's a good excuse to just like sit with your buddies and drink nice whiskey. James brought us a bottle of Russell Reserve 10-year bourbon, I think.
That's good. Yeah, I like that.
That was good. We had a Scotch and an Irish whiskey as well. We had a bottle of Malort. I know that, Adam, you're really interested in that. So we actually ended up having 4 bottles of liquor that we kind of nursed on, the 6 of us, for that couple hours we were in there.
Well, there were 7 of us there.
Yeah, James brought Kim, who managed to fall asleep on the couch. Again, don't use the pull-out couch, just sleep on the couch. That was the hot tip. She followed that pretty expertly. She slept through some of the most like uproarious, like, I don't know, drunk guy yelling sort of things that you could imagine we put on. But so, James, this was your first time playing the Vidara Invitational. How did you find it?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good time. It was a relatively long Vegas trip, so it was nice to know, like, no matter how my luck runs for this next 2.5 hours, I'm just going to hang out with some people, drink some whiskey, and like probably be plus or minus $50. Like, I was cool with that. And I want to add more things into my Vegas trips that are like, I'm going to have some fun. And I'm not going to be either spending a ton of money at a dinner or a show or losing at the craps table. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. And, most of your friends were great. One of them I don't like, but I'm not going to say who it is. I'm just kidding. That's just something.
It was the guy that busted early.
It was the guy that busted while you were sleeping.
So at that point, all licking it up, we went down to the Cosmo Craps table for some more dice action. And you can maybe let me know how that went. I was pretty drunk, but I think we all won again.
I did not.
We all won.
This was the craps session that you all are playing come bets, which, most likely if you're playing, not most likely, you're going to do better in the long run with come bets. We all know that. And I'm playing usually 6, 6 and 8, 4 and 10 sometimes. And the way the dice fell, I got wiped out and you all were like even. And it makes sense that I would lose more, but it usually ends up being a way. But what happened was it'd be like 5, 5, 5, 9, 9, 7 out. And I'm like, I just lost $200 while you all won $400. How did this happen? So I busted out my $1,000 buy-in. Kim busted out of her $300 buy-in. And I was like, we're going to bed.
Jeez, I maybe should have paid better attention to what was going on. But again, Malort, etc.
Well, you were on the other side of the table where those people were just like yapping away.
Oh yeah, there were. I didn't even get the full because my friends were closer to them than I was, but I didn't even really get the full story on what was going on with those guys. But we managed to leave that craps table around 2:15 in the morning, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get some late night Henry, which is I would say it's the 24-hour diner at the Cosmo, but it's actually closed between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. So they don't really do dinner, but they're open for breakfast, lunch, and late night, which is really all you need out of a 24-hour diner. Like if they had said they were 24 hours, I would have never noticed, right? But
they're actually a 24-hour diner, but with an 8-ounce bone in it. So it ends up just...
That's right. Whoa, what a callback.
Exactly. So yeah, we got some late night Henry, which was very much needed after all we had been through at that point. And I probably made it to bed around like 3 a.m., which is brutally late for me in Vegas. But the next day is Tuesday, your last day in town. I really don't have much on my list before you and I meet up at Resorts World. So I think I'll just say that I want to thank Tony from the 360 Vegas podcast for getting me this cocktail glass. I did my best to break it as soon as I got home like a dumbass, but it survived. And so I have now 2 copies again of this 360 Vegas cocktail glass. So
yeah, we ended up going to Wynn, and I played some craps, won some money. Kim and I had some work to do. That was the day that we did a decent amount of work. Met with some tutoring clients, and then we met you at Resorts World, where again I lost at video poker like I did the entire trip. But with my degenerate friends at home, we do a group slot pull. So I have this Facebook group, and I was like, "Hey y'all, I'm at this high limit room. Who wants to jump in? $100 a person, and we'll just like spend it." And there were 7 of us, so we had $700. So not the biggest bankroll, but I'm like, let's go to Huff and Puff. $10.
And you said your rules were
yeah.
1,400 or bust, right?
Right. So the rules that we have are these: if we double it, we stop, so everyone gets their money back. And then if we're if it's 14, if we're at 1,600, then we'll play it down to 14 or to 21, and like we keep going. Usually, then we'll just run it back because they're like, no, we're going to play because we're degenerates. And that's when that's the time I hit a hand pay is when I'm only in for 1/7 of, well, it was Kim and I, so we're in for 2/7 is when we hit the hand pay. Not at the Shandy bar though, so it does not count.
Doesn't count.
And you were disappointed because it was like a min hand.
It was
1270.
It was awful. Which my only other hand pay of this year is 1,200 on the dot from the Palazzo High Limit Room being dealt 4 threes. So it was fine though. But their Resorts World sent me $200 in free play. Thank you very much, and $50 in food. It's very different. They're $200 in free play and $50 for one of our restaurants.
So this was a question that Michael Traeger was talking about somewhat recently, which is like, would you rather have a resort credit or free play? And I don't know if we want to get into it here, but I always feel like I'd much rather have the resort credit because the free play is never enough to what you will have lost at the time you decide to dig into the free play. Whereas the food credit can always get you food, right? Like if I'm down $1,000, $200 in free play doesn't make me feel that much better, but a $200 steak dinner does, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it's all bad mental accounting in the end. But.
right. I mean, I think it depends on. So if I go to Caesar's properties in Atlantic City, most of the time it's like $75 in free play, $75 in free bet, and that's easy to choose from because you're just going to take the $75 free play, or $75 in comp dollars. Now, that should be the one you pick all the time if you're being rational. But I would say I'd say half the time I'm just like, well, I want to have $75 to go and, play a few spins and see if I can hit something big. So, so yes, a rational brain like yours, Jack, would pick that every time. But
boring.
But I already, I don't know. I feel like the rational thing is to take the free play because it's like completely fungible. You can just like run it through something and then spend it on food if you want to. Whereas the food is only food. Adam, what would you take? Your next trip in September, you can only have, let's say, 400 in free play or 400 in resort credit, and those are your only two options.
Oh, I'm doing free play every time. Only because for me, it's a chance to potentially do something different as well. Like I'm dipping my toes into slots more, but like that's a really easy way. Because is it real money? Like, yeah, it is. But to me, it's just kind of fake play money at that point. So I'm going to try something new, a new slot or something that I've seen, Vegas Matt or one of those other YouTubers do that, kind of catches my eye.
If house money is a real thing, then free play is definitely an example of it.
Mm-hmm. So, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, one other thing that happened at Resorts World that I thought was pretty cool. Again, this is like me getting a hand pay at the Chandelier Bar, except it's not me. It wasn't the Chandelier Bar, and this time it's not even a hand pay. So you're going to have to sit through a story that actually meets none of the three main tenets.
You got pizza at Sparrow. Like that is as far away from what you're...
Exactly. No, so one of the guys who joined us on this trip is a buddy of mine who was the one that came and saved my friend from the pull-out couch, and they ended up getting their own room. And he joined a little later onto the trip. And this was like his first time actually like gambling in Vegas. He'd been out a few times for like some mountain climbing out at Red Rocks, but otherwise this was like his first time doing Vegas proper. And so he wanted to like play the machines, play some hands of blackjack, roll the dice, try to get his feet wet and all these things with kind of losing the minimal amount possible. And so we had him playing that ghetto 3-line 25-cent video poker at the Resorts World High Limit Bar. And he blasted through his first $100 just like instantly, playing 3-line bonus poker. And then his next 100 lasted him like quite a bit longer, and he had a good time, but ultimately it went away. But he saw, because Resorts World's player card system makes it very clear to you like what offers you have outstanding on the machine. And it was like, hey, you're eligible for $25 in free play for being a new sign up here. Just enter your PIN. And he didn't have a PIN because he just like put his ID in the machine, and the machine gave him a card. So he had to, I was like, you know what? You're already down the 200. Just go to the cage, set up your PIN, and play on that $25. Like, it's a free $25. You might as well do it. And he ran it up to like $65, and he was like over the moon. He's like, he was like 5 minutes ago, this was $25. Now it's 65. I was like, yeah, no, it's a good thing I said. He's like, thank you for making me go do that.
I'm glad this is the session you're thinking about right now, and not the other two previous ones.
Yeah, exactly. He's still down the 200, but he gets dealt 4 to the royal, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, so he's just missing, and it's actually 4 to a straight flush. He's just missing the ace of diamonds or 9 of diamonds for the consolation prize. And I even call my favorite bartender, Chris, over. I'm like, Chris, you have to sweat this. This guy's about to hit his first royal flush, and he hits draw. Bam, ace of hearts for the travel fanboy special.
Oh, man.
It's like, shit. Next line, ace of hearts again. And so like my brain's already just like, oh man, this sucks. And then boom, ace of diamonds on the top line for like $1,000 for this guy that's like gambled on video poker for, probably just a few hundred hands. So I thought the fact that he gets to tell the free play rags to riches story, I think was worthy of a podcast shout out.
Well, good for him. We're happy for him.
Are we?
Yeah, James showed up after his shenanigans with his group pull there. We decide, why don't we hoof it over to Fontainebleau? We all have a dinner reservation at Esther's Kitchen in the Arts District, but we're about an hour away from that, which means like we have maybe 30, 45 minutes before we have to get in a car. And so we head over to Fontainebleau to get a quick drink at the Collins Bar. But we didn't all make it to the Collins Bar. James and my buddy Trevor, who's hot off his royal flush, end up at a Fontainebleau craps table. How did that go?
Yeah, well, Trevor wanted to learn craps. So we go to this Fontainebleau craps table. We didn't play for that long, obviously. Because
flush with cash.
He's flush with cash, right? I'm struggling, but I say it was a bad trip. I went home with cash, so like it could have been a heck of a lot worse. But he kept wanting to point at things on the table, like while the dice were coming out. The number of times I had to like pull on his jacket to pull him away from the table. I'm like, you don't need to point. And then he didn't understand that. And he's probably gonna listen to this and be like, what an asshole. There's like 5 people on our side of the table. And I'm like, just throw your bet. You want to bet 8? Say you want a $12 8. Like say you want to whatever. And but he would wait and wait and wait until like the dealer was like making eye contact with him.
Because they know better than he does what he's going to bet.
Because one time he like threw down whatever, $18 on the 6, and the dealer didn't like acknowledge it right away. And he was like, oh, it's, and I'm like, I promise you he knows. I promise you he knows. And he goes around, he does everything, and then he just plays. He's like, man, how did he hear that? I'm like, they're a professional. It was a decent run. I think I lost $20 or something. It was not that exciting, but it means I got to play there. And so because I put in 30 minutes at a $15 craps table, I think I have a penthouse suite and transportation from there.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, while you were doing that, me and Kim and one of my other friends went over to the Collins Bar to have a quick round of drinks. And I still think that bar is fantastic. The drinks aren't all that expensive. They have a live piano player. You get complimentary snacks, warm nuts, olives, corn nuts, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Kim said she loved the warm nuts. So just wanted
to... A lot of great contextual things. It's like Bellagio or Fontainebleau's response to Petrosian in my eyes. It's a wonderful bar. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's just the only thing is it's situated in kind of a weird elbow where between the hotel lobby and the casino, there's just kind of 2 long hallways and then some retail space that isn't really fleshed out. And then there's a bar right there in the middle of those 2 hallways, which kind of sucks. But they do a good job of kind of like closing curtains around you in that space so that you don't have to look out at derelict retail and instead just kind of feel like you're in your own spot.
Until Payless Shoes gets in there, yeah, they gotta do what they gotta do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that place.
So we got in a car and headed to the Downtown Arts District to meet up with a couple of my other buddies. So that was that same 7 of us going to Esther's Kitchen. And that is a Italian restaurant in the Downtown Arts District by Chef James Trees. And I've been there a couple times. It's great. I think our experience here was pretty great, other than we got filibustered.
By James Trees? No way.
No, we got filibustered by the waitress who I think in her spiel of kind of going over like what the restaurant does and what's on the menu, if she had read every single word on the menu out loud to us, it would have been quicker.
Yeah, because she started with has everyone been here before? And 6 out of the 7 of us had, not been there before.
Oh, no.
It's just like, well, let me give you some suggestions.
It's like, no, but I can read a menu.
Correct.
I'll be okay.
Yeah. And then by the end, I mean, you were all pretty toasted because you all had a couple of cocktails there and you've been having cocktails. So I don't know which one of your friends started being pretty loud about like, this waitress needs some constructive criticism about how goddamn slow things are going.
I mean, she was at a different table, nowhere near us.
Right next to us. She definitely heard it. 100% heard it.
Some people were like, we should just like complain on the way out. And we were like trying to talk them off, like, no, like we can leave some feedback if we want to, but absolutely do not need to like complain about it. But it honestly, though, she did that to us. It probably took 5 minutes. That doesn't sound all that long. It's an eternity. When you're all just sitting there kind of like politely nodding and you thought after the first 45 seconds, there was only 15 seconds left and then it keeps going. but then she would keep doing it to the other tables. And then so if we wanted to like pay our check after she dropped off the check, we see her starting the spiel at table 48 over there. And you're just like, this is going to be 5 minutes before she even returns to the realm of the living and starts doing like other tasks. So it wasn't only just the 5 minutes we had to wait because she filibustered us. It was that we saw it happen time and time again, which kind of made the service worse. Yeah, but the food was excellent.
Yeah, the food was excellent,
and she was a good server, other than the court mandated like letter of apology she had to read to each table or whatever. I have no idea.
Now,
why?
Speaking of the arts district, have either of you seen like the ordinance change that they're trying to do in the arts district? From what I was, because a lot of the improvisers that I follow out there, like they do a bunch of stuff, obviously in the arts district, and they're trying to do like a curfew, as in like the neighborhoods where you can't be loud after a certain time. A couple of new high rises that are going in. I should probably verify all of the stuff that I'm saying right now before saying it, but I mean, I've seen a couple of posts about it.
Interesting. I would have assumed they would want it to go the other way because that place is booming.
But... Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what they're saying. They're like, the reason why this is booming is because of all of this stuff. But I guess there's a couple of like high-rise condominiums going in nearby, and like they're trying to push like, oh, well, it needs to be quieter. But then the argument's the only reason why we have these two new, condo high-rises is because of this nightlife. So I didn't hear any of the podcasts talk about it. So I was like, maybe it's just not hitting the touristy stuff, but it's maybe hyper local.
I generally have a pretty early curfew in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
so
3 a.m.
Probably wouldn't bother me. The poker trip is always a completely different beast because that poker tournament just runs so late at night. But other than that, I'm usually like in bed at like 9:45.
Yeah. Well, after dinner, Kim and I head back to the Wynn because we had a red eye, because we usually take the red eye back so that we can save ourselves some time. Because may as well sleep for the 2 hours on the plane. Of course, it's great sleep that you're getting. But we got to Wynn and we had about 45 minutes before we needed to get an Uber, and we'd already packed and everything was ready to go. And so I was like, okay, do you want to just like go to the room, like hang out? And she's like, or we could play video poker for a half hour and see if we can make our money back.
Say no more.
Say no more. And so we did not get our money back, but it was a really fun session because we were just like, okay, we've got $1,000 left. Like, let's just go as fast as we can. We're either making our money back or we're losing it. Then we no flight troubles, and came home and got back to work to make all that money back, so that way we can go and do it all again in 2 weeks. So that was my trip, and Jack still has like 45 more days. So.
Yeah,
I've got one more point on what happened on Wednesday, and then we'll get us out of here. And that point is, there's always been annoying people on the street on the Las Vegas Strip. There's less porn slappers lately, but more just fucking everything else.
And what's this segment called?
Oh, this segment's called More Fucking Everything Else. And one of the additional everything else's that I was subject to was I got a couple of my friends who were staying a bit longer to join me at breakfast at Mon Ami Gabi outside Paris, right on the sidewalk there, kind of overlooking the Bellagio fountains from across the street is that patio at Mon Ami Gabi. And so we got breakfast there. It was only like a 15, 20-minute wait. Unfortunately, there was a street performer posted up right outside Mon Ami Gabi with like a big, big amplifier doing like karaoke, right? Like he had his backing track playing on the big speaker and he had a microphone and was like crooning. Honestly, he could have been a lot worse. He was like a fine singer and it wasn't like the most annoying thing I've ever heard, but it was terrible. Like I don't want my outdoor early morning, it probably wasn't early morning at this point, it was probably like 10 a.m., but my like morning outdoor serene Vegas views to be cluttered with someone just kind of blasting their noise as loud as they can. I imagine they can't do anything about it because they don't own the land. It's a public sidewalk, but like, man, I'm going to look for that before I go and sit down there next time. If there's someone doing that, I'll just go somewhere else because he was not good enough to make it feel like, brunch and a show. It was brunch and then just like a guy doing karaoke.
There's very few people who like would be good enough that I would be willing to tolerate that. I'm like a bad speaker outside while you're trying to like enjoy the fountains and the chatter of the restaurant and stuff.
Right. No, yeah. So, like I said, he was actually not all that bad, but just the whole thing was just like, oh, can we fucking not?
That sounds like an amazing, like last place of your fantasy football league punishment that you have to set up outside.
You have to be doing the singing. Yes. Okay.
Kind of do stand up, like just for the Monami Gabi people outside. Like just do a tight five.
I thought you were saying the punishment is that they have to go have breakfast while this guy sings to them, and I was like, that's terrible.
Did you tip him before you left? Because some influencers will be really pissed off if you didn't tip him.
I'm sure that's why he was doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Is that he is serenading people and he gets better tips because he knows that he has a captive audience, that there will be people that enjoy it. So it's, not a bad gig. Certainly one of the least offensive street performers. It's just usually they're not out that early.
Mm-hmm. We can get us out there. I hope people enjoyed part 1 of episode 1 and the trip report. I know we're gonna have you guys have trips coming up soon. I've got a trip coming up in September, so we'll do some planning discussions in future episodes. But we're gonna roll out and get into part 2 here right now.